Oh, I love it. I choose to go live when someone's ducking down.
Oh, my.
I love it. I love it. I never tell anyone anything. But welcome. We're live. I have a full house, although there's a lot of things going on. Where's Akash was supposed to be here. I don't know where he went. But that's okay. Yeah. Oh no, did I not tell you that?
I had no idea. No, you didn't tell me Akash was coming.
That's good because I think we're learning that I never tell my co-hosts anything. I did tell them what the show topic was, though.
Did you?
So that's exciting.
I don't know that.
Okay, that's your fault because
that might be my fault.
That's your fault because I sent you the show sheet. Oh, there you are. I sent you the show sheet in the chat for the big Twitter chat for the show. I sent you the show sheet, so that is not my fault.
Okay,
it is there. So you could have known that. Oh,
we miss you too, Ryan.
We miss you too.
I miss the blue room.
I miss your unmade bed. That's the best part.
Yeah.
Man, that's definitely my favorite.
This is such a loaded show. I have to go in a few minutes, and it's gonna be hard to tear myself away from this. This is
I know. Group. I know. I mean, I'm here. Oh, and everyone else. But, oh no, yeah, I will say the show that I was mostly not on last week was our best viewed show in a while. So maybe the people are saying they don't want me. I don't know. I might have to retire. We'll have to see. We'll have to see. But
so no, they had to get their last fix of Ryan in, you know.
Yeah, well, I think also I watched the first 27 minutes back of the show, and I think you and Ryan combined for less than a minute of talking. It was just me screaming about how Brandon Staley was a failure. It went on for over 7 minutes. 7 minutes about Brandon Staley and how much of a failure he was. Someone tried to comment something in the private chat that I can't see. Oh,
that's me. I just yeah. Well, you didn't have to say it out loud. I just want to let you know that I found the show sheet. So
no. I absolutely wanted to say it out loud. Okay, I wanted everyone to know that you
found the show sheet. I searched through the Twitter thing because you posted it last week in the chat.
Well, that's me. I was getting ahead of it. I posted the show sheet early so everybody could make their contributions. So people could put on there what they wanted to talk. Yeah. Because otherwise, then I have to make everything up, and that's bad. I want everyone to have a chance to have their own things to come in so we can have segments. Right? Mm-hmm. I like that because that's not all about me. I get tired. You know, we learned on the last show. I have like 25 to 30 good minutes of me talking. I used it all in the last and then left last time, but I felt really good. But I don't have 2 hours of show in me. So that's why we have other people. Okay. I'm trying to move the 101 in a deep rebuild. Now that's interesting. There's been a lot of discussion about this, hasn't there? I feel like there's been a lot of discussion about people who have the 101 are in deep rebuilds, and now Bijan Robinson is coming onto their team, but he's not. I mean, it's running back. So if your team is really bad, he's not going to maybe be the asset you'd want. So 101 Lance, I guess this is super flex, but 101 otherwise Lance doesn't matter. So. I mean, Lance doesn't really matter that much anyway, but
it's a bad
101 trade. Lance and 210 for 102, 104. 204 and a 24 first. Okay. What side would you take here? There's so many of you. So whoever wants to answer it first, go ahead.
Oh man, that's tough. I still want the 101 side on this trade. I feel like the 101 Lance and 210 is a bit too much for this, honestly.
Yeah, I think you can get more back.
I think you can because it's the 101.
Yeah,
like it's Bijan Robinson.
Pretty good.
I mean, essentially, this trade is like the other guy just adds a 24 first, and then he's getting Lance in the 1.01. I feel like a little bit.
Yeah, I think it's a little bit
down.
Yeah, I think it's a little. I think you can get more. I agree.
Yeah, I think Lance right now is about around a late first. Yeah. So
12 team superflex.
I think it's an all right trade. Just like the 102 and 104 and a 24 first is attractive. I got like 24 first above Lance. So it is sort of enticing. I don't know. Maybe you could get a little bit more, but
Yeah, I that's kind of where I'm at. It is like it is
like
interesting.
you end up getting, it's like, if you want Young, you hit him. If you want Gibbs, like if you really want a wide receiver at 4, then and then 24 first is also great. Like that's a fine trade. I'm okay with that. I also feel like I don't know. I feel like I'm so hidden in the corner right now. Covered up.
Yeah, I know. I know.
Yeah. I agree. Yeah, I agree with Akash. It is enticing. It is okay. But for the 101, if I'm moving away the 101, I want to be excited to do it.
Yeah.
Because moving away Bijan Robinson, I have to be excited to do that.
I think give me like another 24 like draft cap, maybe 24 second added on there, and I'd be much more a go.
There's some context that matters here, right? Like, is that 24 first likely to be kind of early to the middle of the pack, right?
Yeah, definitely.
Also, the timing on this is curious too, right? Like, if you're trading the 101 in 8 weeks, you're almost certainly going to get more than this, right?
Yeah.
I don't think it's a bad trade. It's just there's an opportunity.
You're going to get more than that? I mean,
I don't know if you're going to get more. If he lands
in
a dream spot, if Bijan lands in a dream spot, we have more security. He's officially the 101 running backs in Dynasty.
You look at it this way. The 204 is obviously better than the 210. I'd rather have a 24 first over Trey Lance. So you're saying that there's ever going to be a point where you're going to get more than the 102 and the 104 for the 101? I mean, probably not.
That's a great trade.
You're not going to get more than that. You're not going to get more than that. So that's a great trade. That's ridiculous. Like in any other year, that would be ridiculous, laughable offer. Like 102 and 104 is almost in any year is worth more than one. Maybe not last year, although it ended up being that way.
And we all have Bijan like a full tier above. Like we have tier breaks. If we're drafting startups,
absolutely.
If we're drafting startups, Bijan goes late first, early second of a superflex startup, and then the 102 doesn't go until like the 3rd round, and we'd still all be like, give me the.
I don't know about that, but either way, to me,
mid second, late second, or
mid to late second, late second probably for Bryce Young for me, who would be 102 in superflex startup for me.
Yeah, but that's fine.
But yeah, it's a tier break for sure. Yeah, Bijan right now, I would have it 11. Overall.
Yeah, and if you can
Bryce
get
Young,
like you're saying, like
2 or so.
Yeah, you put Trey Lance lower than 24 first, so we're already saying
Trey Lance
leaning towards the
we don't want
side, right, and then you're saying you're trading an early second in a startup for a late second or an early 3rd and probably a late 3rd, and that's fantastic.
Yeah, I would take the 102 side if it were up to me, but that's also because you're getting rid of failure.
Yeah,
we can't have that. We can't have that. We can't have failure.
I'll dip.
But it's not good.
5-10
Trey Lance,
minutes, but we can.
I have great news about Trey Lance. He has started fewer games in the last 3 years than Brock Purdy has won this year. So that's not good. That's not good. It's gonna take a long time. And I don't want to wait a long time. I don't want to hear about a long time. I don't want to hear about an excuse. If he were really that good, he would have started in 2021. He would have. If he were that good, he would have started over Jimmy Garoppolo. If he were that great, but he's not that great. And then this year, he comes in during training camp. Doesn't look good. He wasn't so good. Then, of course, they brought back in Jimmy Garoppolo. Why? Because they had to. Because they didn't They didn't believe in Trey Lance. They didn't believe in him. So
Jimmy.
They got that agreement done with Jimmy Garoppolo. And aren't they thankful they did? Because Jimmy Garoppolo came back in and gave Brock Purdy time to develop as the backup. Jimmy Garoppolo played well. And then Brock Purdy had time. He got practice reps, and then he came in and he was also good. So, it seems like everything they did kind of worked out. They haven't lost since they traded for 11-0 since trading for CMC. That one looks pretty good. So, I don't know. Yeah. Kyle Shanahan is a genius, and he didn't want Trey Lance. We know he didn't want Trey Lance. Trey Lance doesn't fit in the Kyle Shanahan.
He wanted that Mac sauce.
He wanted Mac Jones. And what is Brock? if you look at Brock Purdy, what does he kind of look like? Very much so, actually. Very similar. Why don't you put the pictures side to side? They look very similar. And
he looks like
Hutch. But it is. It is similar. And their play styles are similar too.
Gosh, did you just say he looks like Hutch?
Yeah.
Brock?
Okay. I see where we're
Brock
at.
Brock or Mac Jones?
Brock.
Brock
looks like Jim Harbaugh was visiting the 49ers on his day off, and he brought his nephew, John Harbaugh's son, on a take him into work day, and he just ended up on the practice field throwing the football around.
He does look a little bit like Hutch, though. A little. I see the facial resemblance.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, between you and Brock Purdy. We might have to do a split screen.
Yeah, hold up.
They're trying to tell you look pretty, bro.
Purdy.
I see what this is. I'm literally just looking up a picture of Brock Purdy right now just to look at it.
Yeah, but I think that Trey Lance situation,
whatsoever.
I just had to just totally disagree with you, Tyler, because it's not.
You can disagree.
Right, exactly, and like I guess we'll have to see because I'll never change your mind about anything.
I mean, the thing is that I think that we make this mistake too often, and people are making it again. I heard it on the Wake Up, the Ray G podcast, whatever you want to call it. I think it's called Wake Up, and he said the same thing that I said, which is that us as fantasy football people get stuck in fantasy football world. Of course, we want Trey Lance to start because Trey Lance runs the ball, and that helps us for fantasy football. But Trey Lance, and I think I've learned this lesson. If I could go back and redo my take on the 2021 rookie class, I would have been so out on Trey Lance. I think this is a huge mistake that was made.
Everything that could go wrong has gone wrong for him.
No, but he wasn't good at all. He wasn't good at all. He showed nothing. It wasn't so good at a lower level of competition, and then he didn't play at all in 2020.
Like that.
Well, no, he wasn't. He wasn't that good.
He threw no interceptions the only year starting.
I understand that, but that was at a lower level of competition, and I think that people should have been. I'm not saying that they should have said he was bad, but they should have been more skeptical. I should have been more skeptical. Because the reason that people were promoting Trey Lance was because he was going to be a fantasy football savior.
Well, I mean, you can't really say that because in the NFL, he got literally traded up for.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of signal.
Part of it, Tyler, is like
it's still a mistake. They made a mistake too, but it's a different mistake
for sure. I was never big on Trey Lance, to be completely honest, but I know that with him came the idea that he's raw, he's got the tools, and we need to give him time. So he wasn't one of those guys that was polished enough to just go in and start running the offense and be amazing. But I do think that at an NFL level as well, not just fantasy, I mean, there was a lot of hype from the tape, from his statistics that would have suggested that he, given enough time and, grooming to be the franchise guy, could be successful. And I think there are still teams that are going to look at that.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's the thing.
He was valued as a late first-round startup pick. He shouldn't have been. That was a horrific mistake.
But that shouldn't guide your analysis right now.
It absolutely should. It absolutely should. It was a huge mistake.
Well, that shouldn't guide your analysis on him when he's a 6th or 7th round startup pick. Like when you're looking at him, you're saying,
I'm fine with that.
Let's go to the timeline. He was in college. He was a good passer in college, right? And then you evaluate him, and you say, okay, this is what I think.
At a lower level,
right? And then you say you can have that concern, but the NFL drafted him 3rd overall. And that's fantastic signal. Like, obviously, it doesn't always work out, but you say, okay, I'm going to take my shot based on this draft capital and the rushing ability and all that. And then you understand that he's not going to start in year 1. And everyone understood that. But then they throw their full weight behind him in year 2. He gets hurt. All that happens. Like, there's a very simple, like, Occam's razor here where you're saying, okay, he got drafted highly. He didn't start in year 1. That's okay. He's going to start in year 2. Then he got hurt. It's like, okay, you can have a lower opinion of him now than you did a year ago. But there's nothing to say that these are like excuses when a guy plays and doesn't play well. This is just what's happened and where we go. It doesn't
matter. It doesn't matter because the reality is that
you're just mad because he hasn't worked out and like you.
No, I'm not mad.
Not mad.
I mean, I'm not mad. It's just that
you just like don't like when guys don't do anything.
Well, no, it's his fault. I mean, if he were that great, he would have played in 2021. If he were that great,
he's not that great.
Well, then he's not that great. So
I think
he's not that great. Like we're not saying that like he was supposed to be good.
Was misvalued from the beginning. He was misvalued from the beginning. I think that's the lesson that I would encourage people to take away from this.
Wait, because he was a late first-round starter pick at the beginning of last year, like at this point last year, now you're saying you don't like him as a 6th or 7th rounder just because of that, like because he was.
Oh well, that's different. I mean, you can considering that I think he's for real life. I think he's bad, but. It's the kind of thing where if he ever plays, he'll be good for fantasy. So because of that, I'm still willing to take him. I'm still willing to take him, but and I have him actually. What do I have? Early 6th right now, so
yeah, that's fine.
Not too bad. Not too bad. I just feel like you always can hang on to the guy with the rushing upside, but the reality is, and people hate it when I say this, but I think people who disagree are honestly delusional, is that Brock Purdy is going to start week 1. Unless he gets hurt between now and then, Brock Purdy, not Trey Lance, is going to start week 1 because he's played more in the NFL and he's looked good when he played. No, you don't own a starting job just because you were drafted higher. It doesn't work that way. It's never worked that way in the NFL.
But I do agree with you.
Brock Purdy is going to start week 1. And people tell me, and this is the biggest lesson I want people to, because this is the biggest disconnect between the fantasy football and the real life community. The fantasy football community will tell you Trey Lance is going to start because they drafted him highly on their dynasty teams, or they believe in him for fantasy football. And because of that, they need him to start. Whereas I don't care. Like, I'm not going to tell you what I want to happen. I'm going to tell you what I think is going to happen. And what's going to happen is that Brock Purdy is going to start week 1 unless he gets hurt between now and then. That's the reality.
I have to go in a couple minutes, so I'll just say this. I do agree with you that there is a little bit of bias in fantasy football where you like a guy, so you're gonna think good things of him for that. Yes. I do know there's a long history of late round quarterbacks having jobs for a little bit, even though they do succeed, they get replaced pretty quickly, like a Nick Foles when he won a Super Bowl and then was not a starter. And that's a little different because Carson Wentz was playing before that. But I disagree with your main point that, like, if he was so great, he would have started in 2021, because no one was saying that he's so great. Everyone is just making projections based off his draft capital and rushing upside. And no one's saying he's like everything in college or anything like that. Right. No one's saying that. Everyone's just saying
you're wrong, Hutch, by the way. So a lot of people were saying that. A lot of people were saying that.
People are just saying that based on
maybe you don't. Profile, maybe you two don't get as many delusional comments in your Twitter as I do. But a lot of people are still saying that,
brother.
Still, it's frustrating for me.
People were not saying that. People were not saying that because he was so good, he should have started. People are just saying that when he does start, he will be good for fantasy.
People were not saying that. You are saying that smart, relatively informed analysts are not saying that. I am telling you that
no.
What I have to deal with, people were and are still saying it. Like, not everyone in the dynasty community is an analyst. Not everyone is smart. Anyone can have a Twitter. Anyone can say whatever they want.
Anyone can have a blue check mark too now.
That's true. You're saying that, like, you pay for it, anyone can have a blue check mark. That's true.
You're saying I totally agree. Was so great, he would have started in 2021, and that's just not.
I do think that Jimmy Garoppolo was not all that great. Case. I mean,
yeah, he's not that great, but he's doing the same thing that Purdy's doing, where it's like, okay, he's a safe option. We're gonna develop Lance, etc. Like, okay, Purdy's less than one standard deviation away from Jimmy G. Like, you're in the system with these good weapons,
but.
Yeah, I think he's a little bit better. But you're in the system with these good weapons and a good defense. You're going to win football games. You're going to be able to game manage your way to being a very, very good team. And that's fine. It's just that you have to recognize Jimmy G and Purdy for what they are. And it's just as system quarterbacks. And I don't think that should be used as an indictment of Trey Lance. It's just how it is, where you have a guy that gives you a high floor and you have a great team surrounding them. And so, of course, that Jimmy G is going to start for a year while Trey Lance develops. Like, of course, Brock Purdy is going to look like this when everyone else gets hurt. Like, it just happens. Like, this is what they're doing. We've seen this before. We've seen okay to bad quarterbacks. Like,
I wouldn't run my team that way. I'll just say that then. I wouldn't run my team that way.
Neither would I, but we've seen it time and time again.
Yeah, but just because you wouldn't run your team that way does not mean NFL teams run their team that way.
That is the way the NFL teams run their teams, where they play for safety and they build around their defense. And
no, it's not that. It's that if a quarterback's good enough to be taken 3rd overall, they should be good enough to play immediately. I'm not drafting one 3rd overall if they can't play.
We gotta do this sometime. It's just that simple, though, because I like arguing.
If you have to sit a year, then you're not good enough to be drafted 3rd overall. Then you're not good enough. You better be ready to play right away. I don't want to spend the 3rd. I don't want to trade away 2 first-round picks to move up to 3rd overall if you can't play right away. So in that case, Trey Lance was not good enough.
That doesn't mean the 49ers wouldn't be willing to do that, though.
Yeah.
But then in
they
my
might have been willing
opinion,
to wait even with the third overall pick.
the second Trey Lance was sitting, he was already overvalued. He was already overvalued at that point. He was already overvalued. The Dynasty community had overvalued him. And at this point, I think the Dynasty community is very split on Trey Lance. You have
and you should sell. I think you should sell for as much as you can because, yeah, I mean, Trey Lance really is someone. I think still the potential's there, but I just
to be
honestly
fair,
have never really been big on him.
This show is entitled "Quarterbacks You Must Buy and Sell," and to be honest, I think Trey Lance is probably the biggest actual conversation in that show topic.
Well, what about Purdy though? So like on the flip side,
that's also very interesting.
Do you believe in Purdy enough where if someone offers you a second round pick right now, like a 2020,
I'd give away Purdy for
second?
Yeah, like, I think I'd just a random second. No.
Purdy, no, because you got this 49ers offense. Kyle Shanahan is an absolute genius. He can make any quarterback look good. He can make pretty much any quarterback look good if you can play in the system. He made Nick Mullins look good. He made Jimmy Garoppolo look great. He made Brock Purdy look great. I'm not saying Brock Purdy is a horrible quarterback. I think he can start in an NFL team, but he is what he is. He is. I don't think he has a massive ceiling.
How do you know that?
But you take this.
Because Kyle Shanahan has made quarterbacks.
No, I would say it's very impressive. No, what's very impressive to me is someone as a rookie who comes in and is already good. If you come in as a rookie and are already good, that is a very good sign that you're going to have a very good career, especially as a 7th round rookie who had no experience during training camp at all. I mean, he really didn't have any experience. You come in or you're good. Tom Brady was not exactly, he wasn't as good when he came in as he became later. They won a bunch of games, but he was more of a game manager at that stage of his career. And then he eventually continued to develop and blossomed into the, greatest quarterback of all time that he became. Like, I don't see that as bizarre. So I wouldn't say, people say Brock Purdy has a limited ceiling. And for me, all I know is that he came in as a rookie and was immediately good, which is everything I want to see. That's everything I want to see from a quarterback. So the only reason that I don't have him valued that highly is because there's risk. There's risk with a 7th round quarterback. Just because I think he's good, I don't think he's guaranteed to be a superstar. I just don't think we know what his ceiling is per se.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't give up a 1st round pick for him. This is a great draft class.
Tyler, so would you take a second for him though? Because you're pretty convinced that he's going to start next year.
Yeah, I don't think so. Then no, I don't think so. No, I don't think so. I mean, the 2nd round is look at the hit rate on 2nd round picks. It's kind of a crapshoot. Maybe if it were, this is a very good class. If it were earlier in the 2nd, maybe. Yeah. Any second, no. Random 24 second, no.
Yeah. Okay. I mean,
if I get the 201 or 202, I'd consider it.
Like any starting QB, and he's so young. I mean, you'd want to hold on to them, right?
Yeah, like I said, this is a very good draft class, and an early 2nd is going to be a player that I'm going to have a little bit more confident. It might be worth similar to a late 1st in other classes.
Sure. So
it's going to be a player I'm going to have, I'm probably more confident in the 201 or 202 this year than I've been in the past. But, if you're asking 205, 206, nah. Yeah. I don't see why I would do that.
Yeah, because Purdy's
not
going to get, right?
I agree with Tyler. I wouldn't either.
Yeah.
I think
I think the discussion just in terms of what are you doing with Purdy, it's so intriguing because I agree with both sides to an extent where it's that offense has made CJ Beathard look good. No crap. He Brock Purdy looks good, but at the same time, it's it's not like he's out there and he's throwing one touchdown every game and it's the most complete game manager stat. He has made some plays and some plays kind of, went his way where he should have thrown a pick and it didn't happen, whatever. but at the same time, they have actually won games as a result of how well he's played in his stretch. It's not he's in there and they're winning him the game with the defense and their run game. And he has to do literally nothing. It's some games, yes, he hasn't had to do really all that much.
Yeah. 5-yard pass goes for a touchdown.
Yeah. Exactly. Let's be honest about Brock Purdy. The people who say he's the best quarterback of all time are probably not really with the rest of the world. And the people who say he sucks are also delusional. Yeah. Neither of those are true. He's played with the quality as a rookie of honestly an average NFL starter.
Wait,
Average.
also, is it Beathard? Is that how you say his last name? I always thought it was.
I believe.
No, it's not. It's not Beat Hard.
It's not Beat
I always
Hard.
thought it was Beat
Yeah,
Hard.
no, it's not Beat Hard.
It
Don't
is
worry.
Oh
not
man,
Beat
No.
Hard.
dude, all my wordplay was in vain.
No.
People were like, this
Oh
makes
my
no
God.
sense.
No.
Oh man.
But no, that's I think that's a fair assessment. Is that he's played as the quality of an average NFL starter, but why would you bench someone who's played as a quality of an average NFL starter as a rookie who could have room to grow over someone who's shown nothing at all in 2 years of the NFL and didn't do anything in his last year of college either? Like, people say Trey Lance has elite upside, but they're talking about what they don't know that. They're talking about what some scouts said about his 2019 tape to justify their points. That's 4 years ago. Like, that may or may not still be the case. And that's also after, for someone who's so mobile, a devastating injury. It's different for Joe Burrow having that injury. You know, Joe Burrow not relying on his legs, and he didn't run at all the year after, really, after that injury. He did not run, but it didn't matter because he's reliant on his arm. If Trey Lance can't run, he's useless. For fantasy and real life, he's useless. He needs to be able to run. You know, it's like Lamar, if or even worse, I would say. If Trey Lance can't run, he can't play. He can't play if he can't run.
Yeah, I mean, Justin Fields will probably be another example, right? I mean, without his legs this year, he wouldn't have been vaulted into the top.
Yeah, I'm surprised that Justin Fields has been as bad of a passer as he's been, because he was a pretty good passer in college. I'm not really sure what happened. Yeah. Maybe it's a lack of weapons. You know, I'm more, to be honest with you, I'm more likely to believe that Justin Fields is going to take a leap as a passer than Trey Lance. Because Justin Fields has had 2 horrific offenses with nobody to throw to.
Seriously,
maybe man. He'll be able to do it.
We better do some work this free agency, man. We have the money to do it.
Oh, you're a Bears fan?
We have the draft. Yeah, I'm a Bears guy.
Oh, yeah. Okay. You better. Chase Claypool doesn't cut it. Chase Claypool doesn't cut it.
Yeah.
You know that.
I do think it's something that, like, even looking back at this past draft class, that some NFL teams kind of maybe took to heart a little bit more, where, you know, we saw Trey Lance go top 3, and it's like, oh, if teams are so willing to use that high pick on someone that they have to develop for a year and is not ready, we would have seen guys like Willis and Ritter go as high as everyone projected. I was going to mention first round.
Yeah.
And what happened? No, they are not ready to play right away. It's a development, it's a project kind of thing. And it's like, okay, the NFL viewed them as 3rd round picks because they don't want to go through something like what they kind of saw the 49ers do, where they had, and it's like, it would be the same thing. It would, like, you know, if they put Willis out there and then Tannehill comes in, he clearly looks way better and stuff.
Well, let me ask you a quick question, because I got to go shortly too. Like, do you think that the only thing that separates the dynasty value from like Malik Willis and Trey Lance right now is the fact that Trey Lance has the draft capital?
Yes.
Like, is that the only thing that
I think that
at
this point,
that's the only thing
differentiates them? Wow.
Absolutely.
I mean, that's a huge drop, obviously, from all the.
I mean, you could also argue their offenses too. The 49ers offense and those weapons are significantly better than the Titans and what they've got right now.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, yeah. Like,
I mean, the Niners are sick.
The Niners.
Everyone.
Any quarterback.
Have we been exclusively talking about Trey Lance's value in the context of him being the 49ers starter next year, right? Like,
yeah, he might not even be there, right?
I tend to agree that San Francisco is more likely than not to carry forward with Purdy, and if so, they're probably more likely than not to call this experiment a bust and try to move on and get what they can from Trey Lance, right?
We do have to watch though the rest of the playoffs, because if Purdy continues. I know we can't say that now. We can't say that now.
I mean, they can't really trade Trey Lance away.
I was
it would cost them money to trade Trey Lance away.
No, I wasn't saying they were a trade.
I feel like having 2 rookie quarterbacks that the team essentially believes in and wants to keep, like, that's kind of their ideal spot where they can spend the big money on everywhere else and make that entire team just unbelievable.
Yeah, make the defense better.
And you're not paying a quarterback $40 million like most of these other teams have to for an elite,
I really think that
play.
Unless a team is willing to give them a 1st round pick for Trey Lance, which I can tell you nobody is, they're going to have to keep him, because they would because of the vested dead cap and his signing bonus, they would actually owe money on the 2023 cap to trade him away. I believe they would owe about $2 or $3 million. It would cost more to trade him away than to actually have him. So I don't.
Well, that's not good.
Well, I just don't see that as likely. You know what I mean? Like, unless someone's willing to give them a first, then maybe they would do it. Yeah. I don't see it. Like, would they rather just keep Trey Lance as an insurance policy? What if Brock Purdy gets hurt? Injuries happen all the time. Over getting a 3rd round pick and owing money? Like, I don't think they would do that. I think they would just keep him. And Trey Lance has no leverage. What is he going to do? Hold out? What is that going to accomplish? Hold out as the backup quarterback? Like, yeah, that's not going to accomplish.
He's played like 4 games ever.
Yeah, so like I think that they're going to go forward with, Purdy as a starter and Lance as the backup, and that's how they're going to open 2023. And then if Purdy sucks, they'll bench him and go to Lance. I mean, that's always a possibility. Just like Lance doesn't own the starting job, Purdy doesn't own the starting job. If he opens the year and plays bad, then he'll be benched.
Or maybe they'll go back and get beat hard.
I can't.
All right, hey, I got to bounce, guys, but always a pleasure to be on with you guys. Good to see you, Eric. Later, guys.
Thanks, Josh.
Yeah.
Later.
Good to have you back.
We had so many people at the beginning, and
and then there were
keep
4
bleeding.
By one.
Yeah. All right. Let's see here. After yesterday's games, do we see any big moves happen in the? I love this question. Do we see any big moves happen in the offseason? I feel like the Bills have to do something. I mean, what do you guys think?
I mean, I definitely agree, because I think, like, when you look at the game against the Bengals, it's like they were just outmatched in basically every single position. Like,
that's like what it looked like.
The Bengals, Tyler Boyd is their 3rd wide receiver, their slot guy. He's very good, and I think he would easily be the wide receiver 2 on that Bills team. Like, forget Gabe Davis. Like, he clearly just isn't. He's not it. Like, obviously, the fantasy community wanted that to happen after the 4 touchdown game last.
Not guilty.
Fair. I
would
know that one.
Gabe Davis as well. I did not.
Yeah, I'm not a part of that.
I know a lot of people, obviously.
Gabe Davis is a little too close friends with Cole Beasley for me to want to be like him too much.
But that's the thing. Like, that team needed Cole Beasley to come out of retirement to give him something. And they needed him. It's like, and meanwhile, Joe Burrow's just having a sweet old time throwing a T. Higgins, who would be a number 1 receiver on practically every other team. He basically still is. Like, he just a 1A, 1B with Jamar. And it's like, and he just like, and even look at Hayden Hurst. Like, he was ex-first round pick that has played a really good role for them this year. And it's just like, they clearly need something. And it's not even like I thought the Bengals, their offensive line, like, some of the turnover they've had in recent weeks, like that would really, come back but not. It's like they looked like they were just the much better team in basically all facets of the game.
The Bills' offense,
the Bills' defense even looked
their defense is bad. Yeah. The Bills' offense has been I don't want to say they're one dimensional, because like, they're not, because Allen can run, Allen can run the ball, Allen can throw the ball, but like, outside of Stephon Diggs, they don't have a reliable option. They don't have a reliable running back or receiver outside of Stephon Diggs. They don't have anybody.
They rely on Josh Allen to basically just play hero ball, and like that.
Yeah, that's what they do,
and it doesn't really work like all the time against a really good offense that can keep up and a pretty solid defense. It's like that just doesn't work. And
having Josh Allen can't fix all your problems. You have to be able to support him a little bit more. I mean, I think the Bills should be prioritized either getting a running back, like a really good run game, or getting extra wide receiver help. They should be prioritizing that this offseason. I don't know about necessarily making like a humongous move, like making a giant trade for a big time wide receiver or something like that. But I mean, they should definitely be looking for a sturdy number 2 option behind Diggs, because they don't have one. And they should be looking at running back as well, because James
Diggs is even still there. I don't know. He's pretty upset.
He was that video, man, when he was just like hands out, just like yelling at Diggs. That was not a good video, man.
Wait, that was
that was tough.
He supposedly also was like out the door before most people were even back in the locker room. Diggs. And Duke Johnson had to reel him in and bring him back in and stuff. Like
I forgot Duke Johnson was even there.
It's an emotional thing, like losing, obviously, for anyone, especially in such a big moment on such a big stage, like, and you've been there 3 times, like this is your 3rd time in a row. And like, I understand the emotions, but I just feel like, I don't know, like if it's just like clearly they need some more firepower. And it's like, and for 2-3 years now, it's been the same thing in the run game as well. It's like, oh, they got a run game. They drafted James Cook. He's perfect to be the satellite out the backfield. It's like, no, they don't have a run game. It's Josh Allen. He's their best running back. Like, and that can't really happen. Like, it's just you're putting way too much on his shoulders with not as talented of the rest of the team as most of these, deep playoff run teams have. And it's clearly coming back and like being exposed.
Yep, exactly. That's really the biggest problem with the Bills team. They're trying to put everything on Allen's shoulders, and it'll work for a while, but it won't last forever. It's not going to make it through the Chiefs. The Bengals not going to make it to the Super Bowl.
Yeah, I mean,
exactly.
It has worked,
good enough,
right?
To get them there.
This is probably about as far as they can go with Josh Allen playing hero ball, right?
Yep,
like,
that's it. This is farther around them.
And they're a great team, right? It's just they need a few more pieces to get over this proverbial cliff, right?
I do think that just in light of obviously everything that happened with DeMar Hamlin and stuff, like I do think that the general, feel and just adrenaline, like it felt like they were not fully there at times, like flat almost, like, and I don't blame them. Obviously, you've had some crazy things happen and you're played one less game and you might.
I feel like DeMar in the stadium will hype them up.
I mean, the Bills were on an 8-game winning streak going into that game.
It did, but it also, it's like you had them come out at the beginning. Yeah, they're hyped up, but it's like that adrenaline doesn't last the full 3 hours, right? It's like half an hour that you're really,
also that
back, like
that novelty is gone for them, right? Like they've talked to him, they've seen him around the facility, right? Like it isn't this big unveiling. It's not his first time to interact with the team, right? So maybe it gives them a little juice, right at the beginning, but I think that was more of a show for the fans than it was. I mean, really for the TV audience as well. Than it was for the players.
Although the snow, I don't know if the cameramen were pretty upset because the snow basically blocked DeMar from being like that visible anytime they panned over to him. Yeah. So, but yeah, I mean, I just feel like all of those things are true, but I do think this year, especially, just like some things just kind of felt, a little out of place, a little off, and it's like, rightfully so with obviously everything that happened. So, but from here, it's, they have some questions they got to answer, and we'll see what happens. Honestly, like hopefully they go out and they get that surefire wide receiver 2 that they need, and along with Diggs, and hopefully make some meaningful addition to that run game, or at least just emphasize their need there, and not just
Devin Singletary's a free agent.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Like, but they're coming back and they're like, all right, Singletary, and we'll draft James Cook. Like, that's enough. Like, we need them to like be like, all right, it's clearly not enough what we've been trying, and just like these guys have been good at times, but it's just not someone that you can really rely on and to consistently produce and help your team out and balance that attack out. So it will be interesting. I mean, there's a lot of teams that have a lot of money. There's teams that need to get over the hump. I mean, Cowboys, I feel like, are in a similar boat where they need to do some things, change some things around, and to really make that.
Did you see what the Cowboys' own social media account said about Dak Prescott?
No.
Oh, no.
Boy. It was bad. They said, Dak Prescott gave the ball away twice in the narrow loss to the 49ers. In a matchup the Cowboys had a chance to win if they didn't, again, generate self-inflicted wounds.
Oh.
That's the Cowboys' official Twitter account.
That's their official Twitter?
I don't remember the first interception, like, off the back of my hand, but his second interception was bad. Really bad. They were both bad.
Really and he should have had a third, because on the last drive, not in the last drive of the game where they did the stupid like Zeke at center thing, but the drive before that, they about 2.5 minutes left. They were ready to like go in and win the game. They went 3 and out in that drive. The first throw, and me and my dad were watching the game together, and I was like, Dak interception on the first throw. He threw it to Dalton Schultz. It was like a little comeback route, and I can't remember who. I think it was I can't remember who had it, but he threw it right into the defender's arms and he dropped it.
Mm-hmm.
Like that should have been a third pick that should have sealed the game, but he dropped it.
You want to know something else that's really bad? Michael Gallup, 0. They owe him $19 million next year.
Yeah.
Yes, he was not the answer at wide receiver 2.
No, that has been a horrible contract. They're gonna get nothing out of that deal.
Yeah, I mean, I couldn't stop laughing for at least 30 minutes. The last play of the game, it's just like it was just so funny.
I don't even know what that was. I don't even know.
So funny.
Yeah, Greenlaw.
I will say the funniest comment I saw by someone about it was like, I see everyone, making fun of that last play. I haven't seen any other plays that consistently get 76 yards in 6 seconds. So let me hear those. I think that's pretty funny. Like,
Miami Miracle for you.
Zeke at center was hilarious because he just got straight up run over.
Watching him getting blowed up was the
watching him get run over. Oh my goodness!
Yeah, they try to do something and like get creative on their last play or whatever. And I like the idea of getting the ball eventually into Kevontae Turpin's hands, but like whatever they had, it's just like they threw it to him 8 yards downfield to get absolutely crunched.
No vision either.
Like,
do you guys see that play?
It needs to be a lateral to him or something. Like, he needs to not be the first one to touch it, or he needs to get the ball, but already have 5 blocks. Like, it's just like, I don't know. It was wild to me. And I do think, someone like Tony Pollard, definitely not having him hurt a lot in the second half. And
most definitely.
For sure.
It's going to be tough.
I feel bad for him. I mean, he got injured in his last game before free agency.
And he's got a 3-month, like approximately.
Yeah, he's not going to be healthy when contracts are being.
Yeah, not going to be healthy when free agent contracts come around. Yeah, I was just talking about that somewhere on. I think I made a little TikTok video about it. Like, yeah, he's not going to be healthy when the free agent time is coming around.
Should I go on TikTok?
I don't know. I mean, if you screamed into the camera and did rants, I think you'd definitely get a lot of views.
Oh man,
I think if you ranted. I think if you ranted at TikTok, you'd get a lot because TikTok. The thing is about TikTok. If you make real content, they don't like it, but if you make fake content, they love it.
I'm tired of making real content, though.
Yeah.
I might have to retire. We'll have to see. We'll have to see. It's a long off season. There are many mysteries. We'll have to see. I always say that, but we don't know. As a wise man once said, I don't know if I'm going to be alive on Sunday, let alone be doing content. So you never know. You have to take every piece of content as something to be grateful for, whether you're making it or consuming it. It's a good message. Rare, such a positive and uplifting message to come out of my mouth. So out of character. So I just, now that we're kind of at a break in talking about things, Eric, I feel like we didn't do this because it was so crowded when we got on the show. But why don't you tell the people a little bit about some of your content and what you have going on?
I'm Eric. I'm an alcoholic. I do it.
Hi, Eric.
All of my content rolls up into my Twitter page at FantasyNav. I am creating content for drroto.com, for the Football Diehards, and I also have my own project. It's called Green Screens Media. It's at Get Green Screens. We're diving into some college basketball content, really ramping that up as it gets to be almost March somehow. But all of that rolls up into my personal Twitter, which is down. I always do this wrong here.
It's okay. We all always do that wrong. It's tough. And if you're here, make sure to like the video, leave a comment, subscribe to the channel, and hit the notifications bell so you can get all of my rants, which there may or may not be some of soon. I have many things to say. And yeah, as always, make sure to check out the Patreon. The Patreon is very important. It's I love doing it because I get to interact with people about their dynasty teams and other teams. I guess this time of year it's dynasty teams, but during the season, redraft as well. I get to interact with your teams directly, talk to you about like strategy and things like that. And, there's always something I like about that, a type of interaction that I can't do on a show. The show is kind of impersonal. Like I create the content to a degree and then you consume it. But with the Patreon, it's nice because I feel like I get to actually know some of you, through that. And the Discord is great. There's a lot of good conversation in there, and I love it. And I wouldn't probably still be doing content without it. It'll be the last thing to go if I ever leave the industry. Considering I've been still taking new yearly patrons, I think that's a good sign that the Patreon itself is not going anywhere. But there's definitely a universe in which, someday if I decide to go a different way, like career-wise or whatever, where I do only that. And that's the only way that, I do any content or anything. There's the link. Because at the end of the day, it's rare I ever feel like, well, I don't want to do it. Like, I don't want to do my Patreon today. I don't want to interact in Discord. I never feel that way about the Patreon. Whereas I can tell you that I feel that way about sometimes with burnout, about every other thing I do in the fantasy community. Sometimes I don't want to do a show. I do them anyway. But sometimes you can tell, there are days where I'm like really raring to go. And then there are days where I'm like going through the motions. I'm here because it was on the schedule and I don't want to flake and all that, but I don't have my best stuff. Similar with writing. You can tell that sometimes I was passionate about an article I wrote, and sometimes I wrote it because it was on the schedule. Twitter. You can tell sometimes I'm really excited to be there. Sometimes I'm there because it's time to do the tweet. And I just want, the start sit especially. The difference between the days where I'm really excited and really passionate and the days where I'm not. But on Patreon, I love it. It's the interpersonal interaction more than anything. Because I actually get to see the difference, see the improvement, hear about your experience with me. And that's the reason why I feel differently about it and why I encourage people just, give it a try. It's only $5 a month for the cheap tier. You get the Discord, and you can kind of get an idea of what it would be like at the higher tiers from that. And then if you like it, you can upgrade. If not, the majority of my patrons are at the $5 tier. And I think it's a good value. You get a lot for that. The higher tiers are really mostly if you really are like a hardcore player and you really want me to walk you through every trade, then the higher tiers are worth it. But if you're more casual and you're just looking for a good discussion, the $5 tier, I think, is the better value for that. So I like to provide good options for all levels of Dynasty Manager. But yeah, people always tell me you should make a public appeal to people to sign up for it if you really feel this way, especially the patrons themselves. They always tell me I got to make the public appeal more than just an impersonal Twitter thread. So that was my best effort. That was my public appeal to encourage people to sign up. So, I'd appreciate anyone who did. But anyway, let's get back to. So I'll say one other thing about this. I believe Patrick Mahomes was drafted 10th. For me, if you're drafted in the top 5 and you are not ready to play week 1, you weren't a good pick. You should be ready to play week 1 if you're a quarterback drafted in the top 5. If you were not, then I think that was a problem. If you're drafted in the top 5, you should be ready to play week 1, year 1. Otherwise, I don't want to pick you that high. Then you're not ready to be picked that high. If the 49ers had just picked Trey Lance at 12, no one's screaming at them. You pick someone at 12. You didn't give up 2 future firsts to do it. It didn't work out. Or maybe it did. We still don't know. No one's screaming at them. I'm not angry with them. I'm not saying they made a huge error. But they traded up 2 first-round picks to get up to number 3 and then pick someone who wasn't ready. So then I argue that is a big mistake. That's just my difference between Mahomes and Lance. They didn't give up 2 first-round picks to go up and get Patrick Mahomes. Brock Purdy's not guaranteed. Okay. I think I'm done talking about Brock Purdy.
Yeah,
well,
we
about Lance. I thought this was an interesting comment. I don't think we're that far away from it.
No,
I'm going to disagree with it.
That far away from it.
But the only difference is that Trey Lance was picked 3rd and Jordan Love was picked 20 something.
I think Lance is more rushing upside as well when you put them both on the field. I don't know if Jordan Love is more rushing
for sure.
Probably
but
not,
if we're going into next year and they're both just younger backup quarterbacks, like I don't. It's just like
there isn't.
I understand
more value because he's only failed for 2 years, whereas Jordan Love has failed for 3 years.
I get it, but like it's just I think the more Brock plays and continues, at least leading that team and that offense.
Let's put it this way. If Trey Lance is really the 49ers backup and sits behind Brock Purdy for all of next year, he'll have about the same value that Jordan Love does now. Is that fair?
Yeah, for sure.
And I think we can agree on something. Oh, thank you, Ed. I love Ed.
Yeah.
Oh, Devin, we got to get you on here at some point. You were on here once, and Austin was on here another time. We got to get you back on here. But anyway, yeah, it's rare that you go from college to the NFL and have this big of a downgrade in your receiving weapons.
Oh my God! That is not good.
That's just painful to see all laid out like that.
I know, yeah. And at one point, it wasn't even Claypool. It wasn't even Claypool on that list.
For
a while,
it was. It's
Equanimeous.
From Dante Pettis, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, Dante Pettis popped a couple times.
And also N'Keal Harry's there too. You put N'Keal Harry on that list.
Yeah, I mean,
first rounder.
Oh God.
Didn't he burn Jalen Ramsey that one play?
I know.
He made a giant catch, or was that?
N'Keal Harry is still younger than Velus Jones. Velus Jones is actually the oldest of all these guys. He's older than Mooney, Claypool, and N'Keal Harry.
He's also the best blocker out of all of those guys. That's all I can say.
I agree here.
I think Justin Fields is the kind of thing where like
I've got a lot of hope for Fields. I agree.
I wish he had won
Give him somebody.
a few more games.
Give him somebody.
Yeah. He wasn't the worst passer. Like, all things considered.
No, he did fine. He was okay.
I would have loved to hear what Josh would say as a fan of the team, but like I don't think obviously they should be drafting a quarterback with their spot, obviously.
Yeah, no way.
I just think the Bears, there's still a possibility somewhere where they really love one of these quarterbacks and they actually do something like it's just they've made just organizational horrible mistakes. They bring in quarterbacks that they think are really good and that's going to be their starter and their future.
Andy Dalton is our starter.
Mike Glennon and get out of here. So I just really think if that front office, if that staff, they actually think, whether it's Stroud or Bryce Young or whatever it is, it's like, that's our guy. We promise he's going to be better than I think there's a chance they actually do that. And I just think
they can.
One, it'd be hilarious, but two, it's just like, what? I mean, it makes the most sense for sure to trade down, get more pieces for your young quarterback who definitely took those steps.
To be honest, I think we all know what's going to happen. We all know. Indianapolis is going to trade up to the first overall pick to take Will Levis. We know this. We know what's going to happen.
Oh,
of course it's Levis.
Well, yeah, no, right? I have my list of. Remember the Chris Ballard receipts? They're very long. There have been many problems. He was responsible for so many failures, and this would be another failure. He's a big failure. So he's a terrible general manager, but he always gets so much credit. Just because Ryan Grigson was so bad, being better than someone horrible doesn't mean that you're good. Anyway. Let's see. Have the 111 and 112 in a 12-team Superflex half PPR league. Would you be looking to move out of the first and into the early second? Or move up to the mid first? Would you do? Okay, so let's start with the general part first.
That's a very.
We don't know about a general part like that. I don't think about it that way. I don't know if you guys do, but I honestly, forgetting about that, I think it's a mistake to think about it that way. We don't have general strategies like that about move. I'm fine moving.
It all depends on
back.
All depends on your situation.
I think it more depends on the offer than the situation. If the offer is good to move up, I'll do it. If the offer is bad to move up.
Well, the offer is part of the situation. Like, what are you looking at?
Yeah, well, I care more about the offer than the surrounding roster or anything else. The offer is the most important thing. Because if I'll take a good offer to move down or to move up. You got to exploit a potential win whenever you get it. You don't know what it's going to look like. I mean, sometimes offers come out of nowhere that you weren't even preparing for, and then you just accept them. That's happened to me a few times. Wasn't expecting it, wouldn't have thought of it, but a great offer comes in. I'm like, all right, I'll just take it. Take a win right there. So now let's look at this specific offer. Would you do 111 and 112 for 106 and 206? And I think I would. I think I would rather have 106 and 206 than 111 and 112.
Yeah, I think you can get two pretty valuable players at the 111, 112. Enough to the point where it's worth it. The
106 is better.
Oh, sorry, the 106 is better. I think you can get two more valuable players at 111, 112.
I don't think so.
That's worth it.
I don't think so. I think that generally when you're moving down, you should get, if you want a general rule, here's something that might help you. You're moving down 5 picks, and then you're moving up 7 picks on the other side. That's not good enough. Fair would be like at least 208 with the 106 side, probably even less. So the value is with the 106. The value is you should be moving up more in the lower part than in the top part. So the value is with the 106. Now, I don't know how the tiers are going to work out. I don't know if it's going to work out that way, but going blind, the value is with the 106. And I will say one thing that might help you and why I would take this offer now with the 106. If you're going to move up, this is the least expensive it's ever going to be. It's not going to be cheaper to move up later. It's going to be more expensive. So if you want to do it and you think this is good, and as I do, I would take this offer now and take the 106 because you're not going to be, I do not think in 3 months you are going to be able to do this. You'll be able to do it in the other direction, but not this direction. You won't be able to move up as easily. It gets harder and harder to move up as you get closer to the draft. So that is one piece of strategy advice I would give. I still wouldn't do a bad deal, but I like this deal based on the difference in picks, not the specific class, but just the overall pick value curve. The value is with the 106. And I think if you put it in a trade calc, I mean, maybe we could do that. Well, let's see. Why not? I haven't actually used DLF's trade calc in a while. Let's see. What's the format it says? It says Superflex.
12 team,
right?
Superflex, half PPR.
Half point.
All right, let's see. Interesting. Interesting. I don't know if I agree with this. This says that the 106 is worth more than the 111 and the 112. I don't know if I agree with that.
Yeah, that was gonna be one of my follow-up kind of discussion questions.
Oh, I don't think it's crazy. What? I don't think it's crazy because I think that there is not an insignificant possibility that the tier break is around 6. That there are 6 really good players, and I might rather have one really good player over 11 and 12. Who is? I can tell you one thing: is not going to be a really good sure thing. It's going to be more of a maybe. So I don't think that's crazy, but considering that the value is with the 106, even without the 206, with the 206 added, it's about a 33% win to go to the other side. So I agreeing with my original instinct, the trade calc says that as well. So I would go that way. I would go that way as I said earlier. But I just wanted to bring in, the DLF trade analyzer as kind of a sanity check. I'm not sure I agree with their take on the 106 being worth quite that much. I think it's worth a little less, but definitely with the 206 added, it's going to be that side for sure. I don't think it's very close.
Yeah, no,
it's not a decision. Agree. I wouldn't think about it. If I saw this offer, I'd look for 5 seconds to make sure I was reading it correctly and accept it to take the 106.
Yeah, no, I agree with that because I feel like the top 5-6 picks usually are much more locked in terms of even if, they're not assigned to a specific spot, these top 5-6 guys are going in that first 6 spots. Whereas you get down
last
to
year, the tier break was around 6.
Yeah, I was mentioning earlier, like, I think you could get valuable players at the 111, 112, but I was going to bring up, like, Tyler was right. Like, it's going to be harder to move.
Last year was a disaster also.
Especially, I was going to say, if you look at these exact picks for last year, you're looking at, one of Olave or Wilson or Jameson Williams plus
so Jameson Williams
206.
wouldn't have been so good, but the
Damian
others,
Pierce.
Yeah, but
Damian
I mean,
Pierce.
I think he still has a bright future. And then 206, yeah, you're looking at
Probably Damian Pierce or Jalen Tolbert.
Pierce, like stuff like that.
Jalen Tolbert.
So I mean,
yeah.
I think you'd rather have that top end guy that is going to be kind of like a cornerstone for most of like whatever team they got drafted on, that they were high picks in the actual draft itself, and they're kind of going to be fed.
Last year, if you'd taken any of the top 8 players, you would be pretty happy right now. Outside of maybe Jameson Williams, who maybe you wouldn't be so that happy. Yeah. But if you'd taken any player after that, the only one you're like ecstatic about, there's no one you're ecstatic about, and the only one you're really like pretty, I'd say, I mean, you'd be happy with George Pickens and Christian Watson, and they were 10 and 11. Mm-hmm. After that, there's nobody. Like 12 was James Cook, okay. 13 was Jahan Dotson, okay. That's pretty good. Well, I wouldn't be upset, but 14 was David
White
Bell
somewhere.
Rashad White, I mean, I'm not having a party for Rashad White.
No, but I think
I'm not upset.
If you look at some of these, I was looking at last year's second round, third round picks in the rookie drafts, and it's just an absolute cesspool.
I will say, though, in last year's rookie draft, how many studs would you say were in the draft? I mean, Breece Hall, Garrett Wilson, Kenneth Walker, and Chris Olave based on their, rookie year. And then, Drake London and Treylon Burks were solid. I wouldn't call them studs yet, but you really had Hall, Wilson, Walker, and Olave.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, sure.
And then you'd be happy with London. If you spend a first round pick on London, Burks, or Kenny Pickett, I think you'd be happy with what you have.
Yeah,
I think
Christian Watson and George Pickens as well.
Some people talked him into James Cook, talked themselves into
weird.
James Cook
last year
as well,
James Cook.
Pretty much outside of the first round, the
Sky
only
Moore
last year was like a disaster. Like there wasn't after the top 15 picks, the only players who really you want at all are Dameon Pierce, Brian Robinson, and that's everyone else is like a deep dart throw.
No, Tyler Algier is a bit of a dart throw.
Yeah, Tyler Algier would be.
He's pretty good in the season.
He'd be the next best. I mean, but you're already getting to someone much more speculative to me.
Yeah,
I got extremely lucky in my home dynasty league. I had 2 firsts, a second, and a third, and my picks were Olave, Watson, Rashad White, Brian Robinson.
It's funny because last year everyone said that was the
Dotson 2.2 in a rookie draft.
Last year everyone said it was like more of a flat class, and that's actually not at all what happened. It ended up being the opposite. Last year is one of like the second and third rounds are like a wasteland.
Mm-hmm.
And
that's why it was funny to look
was better
because after each of these picks, I'm like, oh, I picked Brian Robinson or Rashad White over David Bell and Jalen told just the players that are so irrelevant, and we talked ourselves kind of into in the second and third rounds.
We always talk ourselves
absolutely because you have to, because you have that second. You don't want to be like, this is going to be a player that doesn't help me ever. Like you have to be like, oh no, I can get that guy. I'm gonna find that diamond in the rough in the second, third round.
You always think you're gonna find it.
And it's literally 1 or 2 people in your league will get lucky in that second or third round, and everyone else will have just basically trash. So.
But also, I feel like if you notice, last year the early second was a lot better. I mean, that's where you could have found. Jahan Dotson was in there. Rashad White was in the earlier second. The early second was better, and then it got really bad really fast. So, maybe that's. I have noticed that the last few years is the drop off is usually between like 15 and 18. It like falls off a cliff.
Oh, Isaiah Spiller, mid-second rounder.
No, last year was Rashad White. Rashad White at 15 was. I mean, you had Jahan Dotson at 13 and Rashad White at 15 were actually pretty good picks. And then after that, you have your Dameon Pierce in there, but
Isaiah Spiller,
John Mechie and Isaiah Spiller. I mean, John Mechie is unfortunate.
Well, John Mechie,
that's nobody's fault. Yeah,
John Mechie, we don't really know yet. I think
John Mechie.
There was. The last I heard, there was an update that he's progressing well, and he's.
Yes,
I fully expect Mechie to come back and play, but it's just the kind of thing that I don't know if he's unfortunate. It's just so unfortunate because I think
Cooks is going to be out.
Yeah, I just think it's the kind of thing where it's just really unfortunate because I think he was a player that a lot of people just doubted. And, he had a lot of production, but people didn't, whatever. Like, people just didn't love him for whatever reason. And now I just feel like he's kind of been forgotten about.
A little bit, yeah.
But yeah, Eric, you want to give the people one last review of where they can find your stuff?
I guess a short one. You can all find it at Fantasy Nav on Twitter. It all rolls up to there. Appreciate you making some space and some time for me, Tyler. This was a fun show.
Yeah, no problem. We should definitely come back on again. I promise it won't always be this crowded. Did not anticipate. I thought it would just.
I'm just going to randomly pop in and drop Trey Lance bombs and then just watch the chaos unfold.
I love it.
Thanks, guys.
Peace. All right. I don't like that layout. Oh,
there we go. Now it's better.
All right. Wow. It's with 3 people, we can go to a real overlay.
There we go.
Okay.
Isn't that cool?
Yeah. Oh, it's very interesting. I always think it's so different when I record with people who like really go back and forth with me versus people who just kind of don't. I think it's interesting. It's different. It's different. It's the difference between recording with Addison and recording with Cal. if you don't remember on the old Ask DLF, like Cal would always go like back at it with me, and Addison was more like record, like he had his own stuff, but we didn't like go mano a mano very often. Mm-hmm. I will say that I don't often love the mano a mano stuff. Doing it with Josh is like probably my favorite though. I love arguing with Josh.
Yeah.
His facial expressions are just so good. QB and Superflex is so bleak. That's true.
Yes.
Would you buy low on the uncertainty of guys like Rodgers, Russ, and Brady? Well, so it's the quarterback discussion. So this is in line with what we're discussing. Yeah. Would you buy low on any of these guys? Let's talk about, these are 3 completely different situations.
I think Russ is someone that you should buy. I think Russ is someone that out of these 3, I think Russ is the best option because especially like, with all the head coach rumors flowing around.
What's low? To you?
I don't know if I'd pay a first for Russ.
You're not going to get him.
Oh, I definitely.
You're not going to get him then. So then you're not buying low.
I don't. You really don't think so? After I feel like
I don't.
I think you could. I think in a super flex, I think you could.
No, I don't.
I think the max anyone offers like the 110, 112. I think that's where I'm at.
Doubt you get him. I really don't think you get him for that.
I think I can get him for that.
I doubt it because I think that people fire. Like I think the Rush shares have changed hands already. I think that people had a chance to get out. There were multiple chances to get out when it wasn't looking as bad as it was early on. And then it started to get really bad. But also, Russ has always kind of been like somewhat polarizing to a degree. So unless you've had him for a very long time, a lot of the Russ shares are in like Russ defenders, of which there are still many. But at the end of the day, the majority of people don't have him. So the majority of people are like me and are like roasting him. But would I buy low on Russ? I mean, yeah, if a 24-second got me Russ, I would buy him. You can always try.
Absolutely. He's the only one that makes he's the one that makes the most sense out of those 3, just because you know what his future is, just more than either of the other 2.
Well, the other 2 are very different proposition. Tom Brady, I think Tom Brady is probably going to come back, but I'm not going to buy Tom Brady if there's still a good chance he's going to retire.
You say come back as in to the NFL or to the Bucs specifically?
He's not going to
the NFL. He's not coming back.
I agree with that.
Future Raider.
So
Raider. I think that's pretty likely, yeah.
I mean, it's possible.
Yeah.
I mean, where else could he even go?
Yeah, I mean,
Fran.
I doubt it. I think that window is kind of closed.
I don't think so.
I agree. I mean, yeah, I don't know.
I don't see really.
Wait, was it? Wait. Wasn't weren't the Raiders the team that said no, we don't want Brady initially? When
that was Gruden though.
Yeah, but he was like, you don't want me for that motherfucker, and he was talking about Carr. Like, I don't know. I feel like Brady takes these things like somewhat to heart. I don't know if he wants to go play for them.
We'll see. I think Brady, if he wants a job, will get a job. But if he can look at the potential options and decide he wants to retire. Yeah. So I'm not buying low on Brady.
So right now, I just put it into the Dynasty trade analyzer. So right now it's telling me that a 2023 late first round pick is worth about Russell Wilson. It was like 5 points off.
Yeah.
On DLF trade analyzer. So
I do think it's there. Like I think
you could
it shouldn't be enough for a starting quarterback of potentially a revamped, just coaching.
Especially if they get like Sean Payton,
one that they're stuck with for 3 years.
And exactly like that.
I think with Russell Wilson, I'm more on the other side though. Like I would like to get rid of Russell Wilson. Like once Sean Payton becomes the head coach.
I just don't see a situation.
But that's why,
how could it get any worse? Like, how could it get any worse than Oreo?
If he's washed, then it could get plenty worse. Like,
yes, that's true.
Yeah,
but
if he's washed,
he's washed.
If you have Russ, Tyler, what are you like?
You're not going to get his actual value, but
yeah, no, that's for sure. But as someone like that said, like you're just trying to get rid of him rather than buy him for any type of discount or something. Like,
so what's the question? So I think in terms of a pick value, I'm not going to get the pick that I want. So if I'm not going to get the pick that I want, that means that I'd probably look to trade him differently. So what could that look like? Well, you can look at trading for a complete other position. So there are some wide receivers that I think are undervalued who maybe you could trade Russell Wilson straight up for. I mean, George Pickens, a lot of people don't like him. For some reason, there's a lot of hate on him. I would, in a super flex even, I would trade Russell Wilson straight across.
Crazy.
Why is that crazy? Oh, that people don't like him?
Yeah,
that people don't like Pickens? Why? What?
Why don't you like Pickens? Like all he's done is made superstar plays in the
because they think that that's all he is just the flash without substance, I think.
That's crazy.
I like him. I think he's
great.
Yeah, so that might be something I would do. I mean, people are still kind of out on Kenny Pickett. I could trade like Russell Wilson in a third to get Kenny Pickett. People really don't like him. Like I would just go to Kenny Pickett, go to the young guy.
Yeah.
It's a lot of people who don't like Kenny Pickett. So it's going to be more, I'm not going to get, everyone likes picks. So I'm not going to get the raw pick value for Russell Wilson that I'd like, but I would target some of these others. What we call them distressed assets. These distressed, but it's also almost impossible for me to have Russell Wilson because I've been begging people to get rid of him since the season started, and he looked bad.
Okay, I'm curious. So I was just seeing players to even the trade on keep trade cut with Russ on one side.
Yeah,
tell me if you would rather Russ or the other. Right,
let's do it.
Top one is Dalvin Cook, which is
Dalvin Cook looks cooked.
Russell Wilson.
Yeah,
no, not Dalvin.
Flex, right?
And then, yeah. Wait, let me make sure.
Yeah. Russell Wilson.
Rashad White.
Russell Wilson. These are not.
Russ.
These are not in the right value range.
Rashad Bateman.
You're going the
still
wrong way.
Russ.
Yeah.
I think
Rashad Bateman's worth less than the two running backs.
But like Russell Wilson and like a second, then maybe we could do it.
These are not realistic. I don't know where these values are coming from. But this is not what Russ is actually worth.
But that's like, I agree that it shouldn't be, but I do think a lot of people have soured if they haven't been the manager that already traded for him on a discount. Like, I do think people have soured completely.
But I'm out on him. I'm not really looking to acquire him. It's more like I don't want him. But if I have him and I'm stuck with him, then I'm going to wait for them to hire Sean Payton and then try to trade him away.
I think that's a great opportunity. If they do hire Sean Payton, his value is going to go up and he's going to be someone that a lot of people want again, and then that just trade him away.
Yeah, I'm just out on Russell Wilson. I think Russell Wilson is overrated.
I am I'm definitely very concerned, but I still think there's hope.
What about Pickens' wide receiver mate, Deontay?
No, I don't want Deontay.
I think I want Russ. I don't want Deontay.
I want Russ. I don't want Deontay at all.
Pat Freiermuth.
Nah.
No.
Same problem.
I'm intrigued because I added a fourth onto Russ to see now
quarterbacks are worth a lot in Superflex. It's just the reality, and he's going to start for 4 more years. Like you can sell him low, but there's only so low you can go.
Yeah.
And then let's touch on Aaron Rodgers. I think that Aaron Rodgers is going to play next year. I think Aaron Rodgers Tom Brady was a little bit better as we started the year, but I think as we finished it, I think it was clear that Aaron Rodgers has more left than Tom Brady. Like as we finished, yes, he did not have the raw numbers, but Aaron Rodgers, he's not the same Aaron Rodgers as he was. But I still think Aaron Rodgers has something left. Whereas Tom Brady, I think we might be getting to a point of Tom Brady kind of being done. He looked awful in the last game, and he just looks like it's kind of run its course. Aaron Rodgers, I think, has something left. Problem is that Aaron Rodgers, you can just sign Tom Brady. A team doesn't have to give up anything to get him, which is why I'm pretty sure he's going to get a job. Aaron Rodgers, I don't know what they're going to do. It's going to cripple the Packers to trade him, cap-wise, and they don't really want him back. So I don't really see how this is going to play out.
Jets.
No, but it doesn't matter. The problem is that really, I think Aaron Rodgers wants out. I think the Packers want him out. But there's no way for them to trade him. The dead cap is in the signing bonus that was already paid. You cannot get rid of that. There's nothing they can do to eliminate that dead cap. They are stuck with it. They cannot get rid of it. And unlike a cut, you cannot process a post-June 1 trade pre-June 1. So if they wanted to do the creative accounting to spread that cap over a longer period of time, they would have to actually wait until after June 1st to cut him or to trade him. They can't cut him. It would be like 100 million dead cap. They cannot cut him. They could as a post-June 1st, but that would still cripple them, and then they'd have no compensation. So they are stuck with him unless a team throws them a lifeline and somehow helps them. But I'm not sure why any team would do that. So I think at the end of the day, what's going to happen is that both sides are going to look at this contract, and the Packers are going to be, we just can't afford to trade you. We can't afford it. Like, I'm sorry, but the contract you signed last year that guaranteed you all of this money now makes it essentially impossible for us to trade you. We don't have a choice. We are stuck with you.
Is there a way, you probably know much better than I do, but is there a way that they could restructure in
No,
any
because
way?
the signing bonus has already been paid.
So.
The signing bonus has already been paid.
His bonus was crazy.
Go back and unpay it. So this dead cap is going to the problem is when you sign an NFL contract, you can spread the signing bonus over a long period of time. But if you trade a player, all of the signing bonus is due immediately. Unless it's post June 1, then you can spread it out. But then you have to wait until June to trade him, which is very inconvenient. So they are stuck with him unless they want to just destroy their entire team. It would take destroying their entire team to trade Aaron Rodgers away. So I don't know what they do, because I don't think they can put together a good roster next year with the available money that they have. They cannot afford to trade Aaron Rodgers, and they still have to deal with Jordan Love, whose fifth-year option decision is due in early May. I don't know what they do. I really don't. They are in a bad situation, and I don't see the way out. So, with that being said, by hook or by crook, Aaron Rodgers will play football as a starter in 2023, I'm almost sure. Because he's not going to bail them out by retiring. I don't think he wants to retire. So, it would also cost him like 60 to 70 million. And I get it. He doesn't need the money, but it's $60 to $70 million. That's what it would cost
how much
him to retire.
Ayahuasca he could get for that?
Like it's $60 or $70 million. He's not going to retire and walk away from that. I do think he wants out and the Packers want him out. But given his contract, that is almost impossible to accommodate.
Yeah.
So I think what ends up happening is they keep him reluctantly. And then you have to have the matter of Jordan Love. Can you pick up a 5th-year option that they can't afford in a year that they're still going to have $40 million accounted for to Rodgers to guarantee Jordan Love in 2024, $24 million? I don't think so. So do they trade him before the deadline? I guess. I don't think Jordan Love is going to be willing to sit around another year. I think he's going to make a big stink about it. And as he should. He should have done it last year, to be fair. I really think he should have done it last year. Or at least tried. And I think the Packers will get rid of him. And, they made their bed. And now they have to sleep in it.
I can see it now. Yep. Jordan Love gets traded to the Jets, gets beat out by Zach Wilson for the starting job.
No, that's
Zach Wilson beats out any quarterback competition for the starting job. That would be so bad.
But when it comes to Rodgers, I do think he's going to play. If you can get him for
he's going to play
really cheap, I'm okay with it. I would not hate, because I really don't think you're getting nothing for it. I would not hate trading a 24-second for Aaron Rodgers in a super flex if you need him and you're a contender and you're desperate. Fine. This is the time to buy him because his value's not. I would not hate it. There are worse things you could do. It's not usually how I play, but there are worse things you can do. All right, let's wrap up this chat very quick.
All right.
Yeah. At least they got it off. That was funny for sure.
Yeah.
Oh man.
We talked about that. Oh, don't get me started. I did say in my last rant that it all goes back to Jim Irsay. And how much he sucks.
His historic retire as a mid-quarterback.
Historic failure. What would you be trying to get if you're giving up Rachaad White? Well,
I mean, would you take an early second since that's around where he was last year?
Yeah, let's see. Early second.
Or would you need...
I would want Rachaad White in that scenario, I think.
Yeah, I'm not really giving up on Rachaad White. I know you said earlier that you weren't giving up or anything, but you were like, you're not jumping for joy. I agree with that, but I'm not. That doesn't mean I'm giving up.
Yeah, I mean, to give you an idea of what not jumping for joy was, in last year's Superflex ADP, he was drafted at 15th overall, final rookie ADP. I now have him as exactly equivalent of my Patreon ranks to the 201. So he's gained a little bit of value over the last year. So that's good. Yeah. I mean, he didn't lose value. He gained a little bit of value, but I'm not jumping for joy. So I have him exactly in
so if you're selling him,
so you're not selling him unless you're potentially getting the 201 or the 112 or something.
Yeah, I mean that's what that means. Yeah.
Yeah, my target would be like a late first kind of value, but I mean if you can't, I'd be okay with like early second kind of value.
I won't take anything less than 201. So
I feel like trying to get a late first for Rachaad White though seems like a bit of a stretch.
Yeah, I think he's one of those players where I think you're better off just hanging on to him and kind of seeing what happens rather than training.
Yeah, because he got a lot of potential with Fournette kind of like fading out.
It's a hilarious
Is this true?
Comment. The second part's definitely true.
Yes, but I don't know the part. Does he collect? Hold on, I'm gonna look this
up. But I wanted to touch about this last question because I think it
is a great
interesting. I feel like for me, I'm kind of split in terms of like when you're in the first, second round, I'm absolutely like taking the best player because the best player will play the best and therefore be the more valuable down the road. But I understand in like the third or fourth round, if you kind of look at someone and you know what they're going to be, or you're going to have your own decision on them relatively soon, and you think it's going to kind of go up. Whoa, what happened?
So I just looked up Jim Irsay. Does he collect guitars? So it says Colts owner Jim Irsay has a nice collection of instruments on his hands. Irsay has bought instruments once owned by musicians Jerry Garcia of Grateful Dead, John Lennon of Ringo Starr, and Ringo Starr of the Beatles, and singer-songwriter Bob Dylan. He has instruments from all 4 of these people. That is pretty crazy.
It's cool what you can get. Hundreds of thousands.
Billionaire Colts owner Jim Irsay shares his collection of rare guitars at a free I don't know how to say that word. Exhibition. Exhibition. Okay. After splurging $4.4 million on Nirvana frontman Kurt Cobain's Fender Mustang.
Oh, so these are each millions. Oh my goodness.
Oh, each of these are millions of dollars. Yeah. That's crazy.
Wow.
Where are my millions of dollars? Why don't I get millions of dollars for something?
You're not an owner of a football team.
Well,
so
why? Maybe I should be.
You gotta start a band, become really famous, and then sell your guitar. Foolproof plan.
I will. I'll look into that.
That's my dad. He tried to be a musician. My dad tried to be a rock star. My dad did try to be a rock star, and it didn't work out. Now he's a nursing director, but it's really funny.
That's funny.
You can ask my dad.
Maybe we should have your dad on the show. No, I was serious.
No, he would. I mean, he would. It would be funny, but he does not. He can't talk fantasy like we can. Like he knows the language, but he can't. Like
that. And we're gonna.
Well, he knows it, Dad. If you're watching, you know it. You know it. He like I've told him once. I was like, I want you on my podcast. He's like, yeah, but like I don't think I could talk fantasy like you can. I was like, oh yeah, I mean probably. But yeah,
want to go all in on this? Yes, I've spent a lot of time on this question in my Patreon Discord.
Are they saying that they would give up 1.6, 1.7, 1.8?
No way.
To get the 1.1?
No way. No. That's crazy.
Says, what do I need to add?
First for the 101, I think is crazy.
I don't think it's crazy.
No, I think they're saying 1.6, 1.7, 1.8. And do I need to add more?
I think that's about right.
I think that
really
probably
yeah.
Well, see, this is the thing. I forgot who I was talking about this is, but the 1.1, I feel like almost every trade I've seen where someone's getting rid of or buying the 1.1 involves the 102 or 103 also going back, where you're kind of paying to move up a pick or two at the expense of maybe.
So to give you an idea, the 101 is valued at 900. I can tell that someone went into the DLF trade analyzer and manually adjusted the value of the 101 because it's not in line mathematically with the other numbers. So someone went in this year in both Superflex and 1QB, and I applaud DLF for doing this because, they could blame it all on the computer algorithm, but someone went in and did this and manually adjusted the value of the 101 to match how much higher it is than the other picks because everything else is on. I actually recognize this formula, this regression formula to put out all the other numbers, but the 101 was done separately. The 101 has its own value separate of that formula. Wow. So, like, for example, in Superflex, the 101 is valued at 750. The 102 is 543. The 103 is 506. Notice a problem there? And then the 104 is valued at 468, then 431, then 393. So the other ones are progressing along a slightly deteriorating regression model, whereas the 101 is just randomly over 200 points higher. So they are imbibing a ridiculous value on the 101. Now, they're saying, according to their value, that the 101 is exactly even to the 106 and the 107, which I think is terrible. I think that's terrible. I think the 101 should be even higher than that because I don't see it that way. If I look at a startup draft, I have the 101 at 11 overall. I have the 106 at 40 and the 107 at 45. So in no universe would I trade a early 4th round and a late 4th round startup pick for late first round startup pick. Late first.
I do think 1.6, 1.7 is not enough, but I feel like the 1.8 it's close, but I don't.
It might be a little excessive.
It
might be
a
little
lot.
Excessive.
Like three firsts. Like we're talking 3 guys that all could be superstars. Like Bijan.
I will say, in a 1QB, I like this better because then the 101 isn't like the 3rd overall startup pick, and then I like it better because in a Superflex, Bijan Robinson, to me, is one of many stud assets. Many. There are all the quarterbacks, other stud assets. It's not worth as much because if you notice, I quoted 750 in the Superflex trade analyzer. In the 1QB, it's 900. So it's even more, a lot more, because the 102 is only like 620 something. So it's only like 50 higher. But the 101, they boosted an additional 150. Because for me, in a 1QB, there's really 3 special assets. You know, Justin Jefferson, Jamar Chase. And then I guess CeeDee Lamb is actually close, and Bijan Robinson are kind of in the next tier together. But he's, you know, one of then 4 of that group. Whereas in Superflex, that group has like 12 assets because there's a bunch of quarterbacks in there. So in a 1QB, if this is a 1QB, I get it more. I would, plus also there's no quarterbacks to push down some value to the 106, 107, and 108. In a 1QB, I get it a little more. I would more heavily consider it. Because I wouldn't, like, would I really give up those picks for an early first-round startup pick? Like 3/4? Probably not. 3/4 round startup picks for one early first-round startup pick? Probably not. So, I would say for me, in a 1QB, I would take the 101. In a Superflex, I'd probably lean the other side, but it would be very, very close.
Yeah,
and in a Superflex, if you added the 202, I would take that side.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more with anything you just said.
Is that? Yeah, I think no problem. I always say that no problem. I always say that questions in the Patreon Discord are always good for me because I can follow the conversation. There's like 150 people in there. Like, yes, it's crowded. There's a lot of conversation, but I can usually follow it. We can have an actual back and forth conversation. If we try to have it on Twitter, you're going to be 200 notifications ago by the time I get back to the conversation. I only see it in my notifications feed. I don't always see the full context. So like, it's difficult to have like a nuanced conversation where that's why I like it. I will also say, since we're on the YouTube channel, the other way to get an answer from me, if you want one without paying any money, is to comment on the YouTube video. Much more likely to answer those than a random question on Twitter because I don't get that many. I get like 5 or 10 a week. Nobody does it. But if you comment on the YouTube video, it helps my YouTube algorithm. And if I comment back, that also helps. So you're giving, first of all, I always see it because I get a notification in my email every time anyone comments on a YouTube video. But secondly, I'm getting something myself out of answering it. So you're giving me an incentive to answer your question. Whereas on Twitter, I really have no incentive to actually answer them, other than helping. Like I get lost in my notifications. Those questions get, you could have asked the question and then it's like 200 notifications later is the next part and I get lost. But on YouTube and on my Patreon Discord, it stays very clean. It's very easy for me to follow. So just keep that in mind. If you want a like more direct line to me, I answer the YouTube comments on this channel. So that is an answer from me and me only. I'm the only one who has access to that. So yeah, just it's a good way that not a lot of people know about to get an answer to your fantasy questions. Even start sit questions during the season. I answered a bunch in the YouTube comments. I was happy to do it. So just always a great option for those looking for a faster answer. Because I get an email notification for that. And obviously I don't get an email notification for Twitter or anything. I have those turned off. Otherwise I'd get thousands of emails a day. Okay, we can. Oh, it is a 1QB. So go with the 1QB stuff I said.
Bijan.
And then I guess we can make this the last question. Does
we can make this the last one.
Let's make this the last question. What do you add to CeeDee Lamb to get Chase or Jefferson? Interesting. CeeDee Lamb had another great game. He was actually the only Cowboys player who was good on offense, right? I mean, he was the only Cowboys player who was good, right? I mean, I think that's fair. No one else was good.
Fair. Well, Pollard.
Not really. Pollard didn't do anything before he got hurt. He really.
Sorry, I missed the part where you said
the last game. Yeah, in this week.
But yes, that's correct.
He was the only player who performed well.
He
performed very well. Everyone else was Dak and the rest.
Not good.
We're all bad. Dalton Schultz, I guess, was okay. What would you add to CeeDee Lamb to get Chase or Jefferson?
Oh man, that is.
I mean, not much. I think is.
It's not. There is a little bit of a teardrop.
It was going to be a good amount, but I feel like after the season, he's closed that gap a considerable amount.
Yeah, there was like before the season started, there was like a clear Justin Jefferson, Jamar Chase, and then a pretty significant drop to CeeDee Lamb or Jalen Waddle, AJ Brown, those guys. But now we're looking at a point where I think AJ Brown started to sneak in there. I think CeeDee Lamb has started to sneak in there where they're closer to the Jamar Chase, Justin Jefferson tier than they
I don't think AJ Brown to me is really any closer.
Really? I think he's at least snuck up a little bit.
No, because he's already going to turn 26 this, I know that's not old, but it's not. He didn't even, his season was comparable to CeeDee Lamb's, and CeeDee Lamb is younger, doesn't have the same. CeeDee Lamb's never missed a game. AJ Brown always seems to have some injuries here and there. And, at the end of the day, I like Jalen Hurts, but as a fantasy quarterback, I'd probably rather have Dak Prescott for my wide receivers than I would.
Oh, yeah, I would agree. And I think CeeDee Lamb has creeped up more than AJ Brown.
Yeah, no, I think CeeDee Lamb is bordering on the point where
he can be
he's in his own tier as the wide receiver 3, and then everyone else. Because, to me, CeeDee Lamb, I'm not sure. I have Jalen Waddle at 4. I'm not sure that who CeeDee Lamb is closer to, Jamar Chase at 2 or Jalen Waddle at 4. So he's not really close to either one.
What do we think about that?
That's Lamb and the 109.
That's too much, I think.
Yeah, definitely.
That's
too much.
Yes.
I don't think you need to add.
You don't need to add a first. I think first is not there. I think a second is more like
somewhere in the early second, I would say.
Yes.
Yeah.
I think that's around the price.
And then just to finish.
And we'd much rather trade for Jefferson than Chase, right? Because I'd rather have Jefferson.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think that trading from Lamb to Chase is just not something I would ever do.
The
value's not going to be
sound
there
like
to go from. I might go from Chase to Lamb. That I might do. If the value perception difference is a lot bigger than what I think it is, I might do. But if I'm trading away Lamb, I'm probably only going to Jefferson. I doubt I'm going to Chase.
Yeah, I couldn't.
The value difference is too small. I'll take Elliott there. And then when do I plan to post the initial rookie rankings? To be honest with you, it's when I get around to it. I've already started doing them, but I will say that initial rookie rankings from me are going to be mostly kind of what I've learned from reading and listening to people I trust, other things. I don't get super started on my, whatever you would call it, my own process until a lot later in the program, maybe more like February and March. So early rookie rankings for me are going to be based a lot on, projected draft capital, what I can figure out about the players pre any workouts and stuff. And just kind of, just a general vibe of the class and what it looks like. I know enough to rank Bryce Young and CJ Stroud. I can figure all that out. But, I have to figure out kind of where Anthony Richardson's going to fall in, Will Levis, stuff like that. And then learn a little bit more about some of the players that I think I need to know more about, but are definitely going to be relevant. Like your Zach Evans, Sean Tucker, Kayshon Boutte, like players like that who are definitely going to be relevant that I need to learn a little bit more about. And then I'll be honest, I don't do too much work on anyone past like the top 30 or 35 players pre-draft. To be honest with you, like I could be doing, rookies are not my passion, and I could be doing work on players that are not even drafted at that point. So I do a little bit of catch up after the draft. I'll look through it, but I'm definitely not someone who's super passionate about rookie analysis. So I do it because there's a demand for it. They will come out very soon. I would say this week. Could even be today, but this week they'll be out by Wednesday or Thursday on the Patreon. On Twitter, I don't think you see rookie rankings from me until April. I don't plan to put those out on Twitter. We'll talk about it on the show, but I do not plan to put rookie rankings out on Twitter until like April or maybe late March or April. That's going to be a Patreon only thing for a while. Because I'm just, people rip you on the rookie class. People rip you on it. And I'm just not interested in being ripped on something where I'm just not I just don't have the energy to defend the takes on the rookie class. It's going to wear me down. So you won't see any Twitter rookie content from me for a long, long time. Probably after free agency wraps. So yeah, late March, early April is when you'll get some Twitter rookie content from me. But until then, it'll all be on the show and on the Patreon for me covering rookies. And we will talk about it. I'm going to start putting it on the show sheet in probably late February. So you'll hear about it then. Anything else to close out on, guys?
No, man.
Yeah. Well, I just want to thank everyone who came on today. It was a very packed show. I know a lot of people weren't feeling well, or there's a lot of other things going on. So same with me sometimes. So I just want to thank everyone, all the co-hosts, for powering through, and for giving us a great show that I think we're all happy with. And next week, same time, I have some fun guests booked. You'll see a lot more guests over the next month. So next week at 2 p.m. Eastern, we'll be back here. And then a week from tomorrow, Ask DLF, which is we called something else. I'll have a new title. Will be every Tuesday at 7:30 p.m. Eastern, starting not tomorrow, but next week. But until then, thanks everyone for watching, and I'll see you all next time. Peace.